Channel, welcome to today's show. Has anybody out there seen this yet? How they're marketing this, and they're telling us that this could be a good thing and this is the future. Nobody's asking questions yet. People are willingly getting in these electronic vehicles and buying these electronic vehicles, and they're not connecting the dots. Ford is patenting, okay, and by Ford, I really mean your government. They're pretending Ford's going to the government to try to patent this concept. But really, all driverless cars are patented because they're all owned and operated by the government, because all these corporations are owned and operated by the government. That's communism. But these cars, these electric cars, they want to patent, get this, that if you don't make your car payment, say something happens to you, you don't make your car payment, say you don't feel like making your car payment, that the car will turn on and drive itself to be repossessed. That's right. The car will repo itself. Don't be suspicious about that. Don't think for 1 second, well, if they have the ability to do that, they would never, ever take somebody who disagrees with the government and drive them off the Grand Canyon, right? I mean, I already know what my future holds if I ever step foot in one of these driverless vehicles. I'll tell you right now, I won't make it a week. Not because I would kill myself from the embarrassment, but because I'm sure the government would say, oops, this car, just like Doyle Rules, just drove over a banana peel and flew off a cliff. So look at this and how they're talking about this and how this, somehow this concept could be, they talk about it like it's a business model, it's artificial. This is so, no, how about no? Listen to this insanity.
Here's another reason to make your car payment on time. Ford in the process of a patent application for self-driving cars to drive away from their owners. After a series of missed payments, Ford's proposal will force the car to drive itself to a repossession agency. Having the car drive away would be a last resort. The patent application shows Ford would first pressure delinquent owners by disabling some of the car's features like the air conditioning or having the audio system play unpleasant sounds. Wow. All right.
The Factor Uncensored, hiding from the repo man can be stressful. You know that. And you've probably heard the stories of people trying to outsmart and avoid repossession at all costs. But what happens if time runs out to make those payments and your vehicle decides to just drive away on its own? Ford is considering that possibility for the future with plans that have been filed with the government. My next guest has more on the self-repossessing car.
This is a normal course of business. Ford is attempting to protect their intellectual property, to preserve their ability to profit from the R&D. But in the future, the problem is once these things are developed, there is a very high temptation to either utilize that technology or potentially sell it to even rival manufacturers. So if other auto companies find this technology useful or beneficial, we could see it promulgated throughout Ford, General Motors, Tesla, Rivian, you name it. We could see this promulgated throughout this industry. One of the key words that we're seeing in this patent is automated. That is a very concerning term because when this technology is rolled out, if it is, it will communicate between the lender, the vehicle, the sales and manufacturing individual, and potentially the police to allow the vehicle to drive itself to a public space to be towed, or if the distance isn't too great, to a manufacturing or sales facility. And without you even knowing it, you could wake up in the morning ready to go to work, trying to earn that money to pay the bill that you're behind on, and there's no car in the driveway. Was it stolen? No, the car chose to drive itself back to, because of whatever algorithms and processes that are developed. And we know the reason the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau exists is because some of these technologies, there are lapses, right? You have an auto payment, your bank account is hacked, the bank shuts down your account for a little bit, and then the payment doesn't process. And without any sort of recourse or human connection where you could say, oh no, the money's in the account, here's the electronic challenge, the computer could simply say, well, we don't see the payment, this car will now drive itself to a designated location and not be at your disposal.
Now, typically in the past, you know, the average person would have, I would say, anywhere from 30 to 90 days before repo starts, right? And so it won't be just the first payment or that in a few days you miss a payment, though, right?
Technically, they would still need to follow the legal processes of that state or jurisdiction. So you would still need to have the notices from the sales individual, the banking or lending institution. You would still need to have that due process. The challenge with the computers is there are plenty of rooms for errors where maybe a 0 is read as an O or a decimal place is not where it's supposed to be. And again, instead of being able to go out to the tow truck driver and say, hang on a second, let's get these folks on the phone to figure out where the disconnect is, the car just won't be there. It'll drive itself. And one of the other proposed technologies within this patent is the idea that it could begin reducing functionality of features of the vehicle. Well, what are necessary versus optional features, right? What if, and we've seen this with commercial enterprises, what if the computer system determines that turning off your AC in Houston summer is an appropriate way to make you uncomfortable enough to go make your payment on the vehicle? Well, as we know, heat can be deadly. So now you're not just talking about someone being inconvenienced or uncomfortable to incentivize them to pay. You could be creating potentially life-threatening situations where there's an emergency, and rather than calling 911 timely, you run out to your vehicle to take someone to the hospital, a loved one who's experiencing a medical event or something of that nature, and the car isn't even there. So without that appropriate notice and timeliness, it can become a big challenge.
And of course, there are self-driving cars or cars that are able to drive themselves. And they would use that tactic where they may cut off the air conditioning or play loud, uncomfortable noises, according to the patent, if your car can't drive itself, right? So that's a technique they could use down the road for cars that are not self-driving.
And we found this with self-regulation in a number of industries in the real world, whether it be the self-regulation of the airplane manufacturers, where we had the incidents with the Boeing 737 MAX, but we've also seen the speculative science fiction examples, the Secretary of Defense in Elysium, right? Jodie Foster's character taking power from the president. We've seen this with Jude Law and Forrest Whitaker in The Repo Men. So there are a number of areas where the concern for the public is, what are the safeguards and measures when there is not a person to make a discretionary or qualitative judgment, when it is simply an automated process where as soon as one threshold is hit, the computer can simply move it? And to your point, with a self-driving car, unlike the disabling features that we saw unveiled with like the OnStar, if there's a auto theft, we also have the concern that if the self-driving car is removing itself, what other impediments could they encounter? And then what other dangers could be presented by that car not being in the right place?
How insane do you have to be to think that this is a good idea? Driverless vehicles. How at this point, with all the stuff that our government has shown us, Republicans, Trump, Democrats, Biden, both sides, okay, all the people out there are fed up with both sides, etc., and they're telling us that we need driverless vehicles for the environment, and then they're going, oh, by the way, you know, one of the things with the driverless vehicle, don't worry about the carbon right now. I mean, yeah, it's all about the carbon, wink, wink, is that if you don't make your car payment to the corporation, aka the state, we're just going to drive the car in the middle of the night while you're sleeping all the way to the repo place. How are they going to get and ease people's minds with this? Let me guess. They're going to tell people that, oh, well, you know, now these driverless cars, these electric cars, they can tell how much weight is in the driver's seat. So it'll never turn on with your kids in the car or you in the car. So people will go, oh, okay, well, the car knows, but there's nobody in the car. So, of course, it's fine. It's safe. It's smart. I mean, how stupid can you be to give the government this much control? Okay? If you don't make your car payment, boom. Now, of course, you'll be making your car payment with universal basic income anyway, so it won't really matter because you won't really be making any money because everyone will be given an allowance, kind of like prisoners are given a few pennies here and there so they could buy a pack of cigarettes and they feel like they're still alive and human, kind of like this whole system they're trying to create. So don't be suspicious that Ford wants to patent this idea. Don't even think about it like that. That's a conspiracy to think that they would ever hurt you or harm you. No, they just want to make sure they get paid like any brand or corporation, right? That's what it's about. Don't worry about the technology where the car could actually turn itself on and could actually drive itself somewhere because it'll be able to tell how much weight is in the seat. So don't worry about it driving you off the cliff. Wink, wink. I mean, who hears this and sees that montage I gave you right there? Of video clips that have aired on the local affiliate news as they prepare and condition people for this. Who sees that and is like, that's a terrific idea? Who sees that? A human punching bag? Who sees that? It's like, hey, sign me up. I would love it. That's great. My neighbor Gary doesn't pay his electronic car vehicle fee or whatever. He hasn't paid his monthly payment on his car. Let him repossess the car. That's his own fault. Oh, all right. Don't think for any instant whatsoever. If you disagree with the government or you don't comply with certain things the government wants you to comply with, that they'll take the car and drive it away and won't allow you to have it, not to mention possibly kill you with the car. Let's just give all the automation control to the mysterious computers and artificial intelligence behind it. Because they just want you to think when you hear AI, oh, it's just some smart computer thing. I don't know what it is. There's no man behind the curtain who could actually go and program the AI to crash specific vehicles containing specific individuals or anything like that, right? I mean, if this isn't one of the most unbelievable things. Like when you see that story, your mind should just immediately go, no, 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 no. But instead people out there see that and they're just like, whoa, well, I better make my car payment then. Instead of saying, hey, who's giving these people these types of rights? Do we still have human rights? Apparently not. Apparently not. I mean, where does the fine line go between Ford, selling you a car and then actually having ownership over the car, right? So if you buy the car, isn't it your car? Oh, right, I forgot. You own nothing to be happy because in communism you don't own anything, right? But let's just look at it from the hypothetical standpoint of, these big bad boogeymen don't really exist, right? When you buy a car, is it not your car? It's your car, right? So if they want to repossess the car for lack of payments, should that give them the ability to actually turn your car on and take your car and drive it away? Some idiots out there will say yes, but those are the same people likely who are okay with your tax money funding this type of technology that's going to enslave all of us, and not to mention the fact that is this another way to take away human jobs? Well, of course it is, right? Of course it can take away human jobs because now we don't need repo men. Now you might say, well, what do we need repo men for anyway? But the reality matter is how many of these we get to check off where we're letting AI do it where we have no control. Humans have no control, and all the power and control goes to the technology, and then all these people who are hiding in Antarctica or in the underground tunnels and cities who pretend like they have nothing to do with it. They're just like, AI's controlling it, it's just AI. And then you go, oh, okay, it's just AI. Who's AI? Who's behind it? Who's telling it? Who's programming it? Oh, it's programming itself. Oh, it's programming itself. So conveniently, a united uprising is getting into a taxi that's driverless because he's forced to get into it, and it drives off the cliff, and nobody ever hears about it. That's really convenient, and it's just artificial intelligence that's doing it, right? Holy moly. If we continue down this path, if we continue to let these people, whether they talk about it like Ford is patenting this, and then they're like, oh, I can see this spreading to all other car companies as well. No. How about just this whole concept shouldn't be allowed to be patent? I mean, this isn't paying your bill versus giving them control over something like that is utter insanity. But people out there will just hear it. They'll be like, oh, that sounds so crazy. A couple weeks from now, they'll hear it again. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I heard that. 2 months from now, they'll hear it again. They'll go, whatever, right? Because they'll be desensitized to it. And we just continue to hear these stories, right? We have shock value at first because we're like, whoa, right? And then you just get used to it. You get desensitized by it, and then you accept it. That's this entire operation that's psychologically going on right now worldwide. Desensitizing you to these things that don't sound good when you hear them. And guess what? They don't sound any better a year later when they implement them. The only difference is that you just go along and accept it because you're too distracted with all your toys or all your technology, and you just go, okay. And then the next thing you do is you just oblige and obey every ridiculous mandate that the government puts on you. Like, oh yeah, we should castrate kids now. The fact that there's any human beings out there that are okay with this, that are like, oh yeah, it just shows you how insane our society has gotten because of the stuff that these insane people are pushing, and how people are becoming desensitized and suddenly okay and agreeing with it. Hello, is anybody out there? Apparently not. I thank everybody for being here. I had to do a rant on that. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you as always, and your families.
Well, first of all, we're so happy for Travis Kelce and Taylor in their relationship. I've had a chance to meet her at one of the many games that she's attended this year, and she's just as sweet as she can be. I also got to see her play here twice this past summer, and what an incredible performer. I mean, just one of the most amazing artists of our time. But it's been a very interesting, very fun year having the two of them dating. The attention that's been focused on the Chiefs. Our female audience has grown leaps and bounds.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
Think about it. It's an unplanned phenomenon. You had nothing to do with it. It was just, it just happened.
No, that's right. It was purely organic. When they were just starting off dating, there were a lot of people saying, oh, it's a marketing stunt. But no, it's very real. And as I said, the most important thing is we're happy for the two of them.
This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. This is an important video that you can share with people so they start understanding what's going on in the world. That clip you just heard was about social engineering, hearing about how Taylor Swift has influenced the Kansas City Chiefs, their revenue, the amount of women that watch, and that's the whole point. Everything that's going on right now is going on because of social engineering. Social engineering is at the forefront of this mass mental confusion, this mass uproar in this country, this mass civil unrest. It all goes back to social engineering. And there's a reason that they're talking about social engineering now, because people are starting to wake up to it because of people like us. When I say us, I'm talking about me and this channel and you, the people who listen to this channel. They're waking up because a lot of people have started to realize that a lot of these relationships aren't real. A lot of these couples are put together. A lot of the stuff that you hear the celebrities endorse, why they all endorse the same things and nobody has a different opinion and they're all of the hive mind, is because they're all government operatives. They're government agents, and it's all trails and traces back to the Tavistock Institute. So what we're hearing now is Fox News, and this is done by design for anybody wondering. Fox News is bringing attention, finally, to social engineering. Fox News is being ridiculed by design after bringing up social engineering. The same way that they bring up some of these things with truth, but they do it in a way that makes it sound sensationalized. They don't explain it properly. And then, of course, by bringing attention to it, it dismisses this notion in the minds of people out there. So if they start thinking or stumbling upon my videos, they've already built a wall up in people's minds that this notion of the government being involved with celebrities and using them as agents is all just a crazy conspiracy, but it's not. So on the flip side of that, while you create a society of narcissists, right, which is what they're doing with social media, etc., you make people so that you can't break through to them. They think the things they're doing are all independent. They think that they're doing these things freely, but they're being formulated. They're all being manufactured, and it starts with the celebrities.
Your living room is the factory. A product being manufactured is you.
So I'm going to play for you this clip from Fox News. Okay, so Fox News, Jesse Waters, who plays his role, who is another government agent. You see, this gains a little bit of credibility in the eyes of people out there when they hear Fox News talk about it. But make no mistake about it, Jesse Waters and the talking heads on Fox News are all from the Tavistock Institute as well. They are all agents. They are all of them are government agents. Him bringing attention to this does not build credibility in the eyes of anyone who's awake. What it does is what I'll show you the after effects of them bringing attention to this. It makes us look like crazy conspiracy kooks. The way they talk about it, how they explain it, trying to just go out of nowhere that Taylor Swift is a government agent instead of talking about the Tavistock Institute, talking about what social engineering is, talking about how Larry Fink has talked about social engineering and behavioral control, because that's what all of this stuff is. This guy plays the role, Jesse Waters on TV, of being the exact stereotype of what they want people to perceive conservatives as. Spoiled brat, rich kids, obnoxious, anti-female, sexist, etc., etc. He plays this role. Here is Jesse Waters actually bringing attention to social engineering and NATO and how they talked about social engineering involving celebrities like Taylor Swift. But again, they want you to think that this is all just a notion, but it's actually being implemented, and it is in place right now.
Taylor Swift's the biggest star in the world. Sorry, Gutfeld. She's been blanketed across the sports media entertainment atmosphere. The New York Times just speculated she's a lesbian. And last year's tour broke Ticketmaster. A tour that's revenue tops the GDP of 50 countries. I like her music, she's all right. But I mean, have you ever wondered why or how she blew up like this? Well, around 4 years ago, the Pentagon's Psychological Operations Unit floated turning Taylor Swift into an asset during a NATO meeting. What kind of asset? A PSYOP for combating online misinformation. Listen.
You came in here wanting to understand how you just go out there and counter an information operation. The idea is that social influence can help encourage or promote behavior change, so potentially as like a peaceful information operation. I include Taylor Swift in here because she's fairly influential.
So they talk about Taylor Swift being a Pentagon asset, right? So people see this and they start laughing and they dismiss this notion. Again, this works hand in hand with how they've built a society of narcissists. So they think that this type of stuff is crazy because they're so narcissistic, they will never believe that they're under hypnosis. They'll never believe that they're under mind control. That is our job, to try to break them from that. That is why I do this every day and continue to do it, is to break people from the hypnosis, break them from the witchcraft, break them from the hive mind. So Fox News brings attention, right? And what does everybody out there do? Taylor Swift, a Pentagon PSYOP, a Pentagon operative, says that the Department of Defense has commented and said she's not, right? But what really they could start doing is playing clips like this of Larry Fink talking about behavioral control. For those of you that don't know, I have videos on Larry Fink. You can find many out there. Larry Fink owns everything. Larry Fink owns everything. You can name something, Larry Fink owns it. And when it comes to the media, Larry Fink controls all of it, including Fox News. Here's Larry Fink talking about behavioral control.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
So when you start talking about behavioral control, then you look no deeper into Tavistock. The Tavistock Institute was created to build out all these things that we know of as celebrities, and I call them things because they're not even really human, some of them, right? We look at celebrities and we don't think any further than 200 years ago, 100 years. We think of this, to people a long time ago as Elvis and the Beatles, right? Well, really, this whole celebrity worship started with the Beatles and with people like Elvis. They were products of the Tavistock Institute. They created them and they pushed them out into the public, and they kept pushing them. They kept telling you how great they are by design, to watch how people responded to the influence that these things had over them. This was the beginning of social engineering on a mass scale. So they released the Beatles, right? You always see the Beatles doing all the symbolism in front of you. Nobody ever asks questions, right? The 666, the devil horns. They had the album covers that had babies on them. They had Aleister Crowley on their covers. And then they started using the Beatles to influence people's behavior, right? You see all those video clips of women fainting when the Beatles came out. Now that's just normal in our society. But at the time, it was crazy. And people were like, what's going on? They're like, well, it's Beatlemania. It's Beatle this. That was all mind control. It was all part of a psychological operation. They were the first experiment. Now every celebrity uses the same protocols that were ingrained in them. It was a trial run, a test run. That's why you still hear them talk about the Beatles. Taylor Swift is just one of many now used, but maybe the biggest one at the current moment. Beyonce. We've seen all of them go out there and influence the behavior of society. So Taylor Swift is an Illuminati puppet. Everybody knows that, right? And if you look deeper, this is when you hear Larry Fink talk about behavioral control. This is Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift, her audience, young teenage girls, they want to mold the behavior of these people. So the ideologies that the celebrities have, they push on you, right? So here's some articles. Taylor Swift delivers Pride Month message, right? This is a safe space for you, as if it's a danger zone out there for people who have a preference in the bedroom. They can't walk down the street. So they create that illusion in their minds that the world is against them, that they're, that it's dangerous for them to leave their home. But Taylor Swift, this is a safe place. They don't talk about how they've gaslit people into all of this division over sexual preference, how they told people they're born a specific way. These are all things that have been done psychologically by design by our government. Taylor Swift blasts toxic male privilege during women's speech, right? One of the articles, Taylor Swift, white supremacy is repulsive. Taylor Swift cast trans model in one of her videos. Taylor Swift, climate change. Is the youth shaking off or embracing the carbon lifestyles? Taylor Swift supports gun control. This is what they do. So they take a celebrity, they put some songs on, everybody's like, oh, Taylor Swift. They don't want to hear all this stuff from politicians who are screaming and yelling on TV. They like their celebrities, right? Oh, they play music, I like the music. They cast spells on them. Then they come in and they influence your behavior. All these things are subtly placed out there, right? Taylor Swift, gun control, Taylor Swift, LGBT, Taylor Swift, all of them have the same things behind them. If you look up any celebrity, you'll find the same stuff. Look them up with gun control, look them up with LGBT, from Lady Bartbag to Katy Perry, all of them, because they're all formulated, they're manufactured, they're created at Tavistock, they're institutional products. That's what they are, and their job is to herd the behavior of the masses. So when you see them talking about this, so this is how we get to the point that we're at, where people look around and everybody's accepting of this, accepting of that, everybody wants to get your gun, not even realizing, hey, wait a minute, nobody has any guns left except the government, right? It's all because of the celebrities and the influence of behavior. So when you have Jesse Waters coming on TV talking about that, right? Some people go, wow, the Taylor Swift's CIA asset, right? He doesn't explain it thoroughly, he doesn't talk about behavioral control, because they never want to talk about mind control, because Fox News, of course, is created by Tavistock as well, right? If you broke away from the technology, broke away from the mass media, we would break away from all of this enslavement. It's enslavement of the mind, right? So they're just as guilty, but they're taking this and they're putting it on Fox News so that people out there dismiss it as lunatic, as fringe, as crazy. What? Mind control? He doesn't go into breaking down mind control. MK Ultra doesn't break down Tavistock because they don't want you to think that mind control is real. They don't even bring attention to that. When they do some crazy music behind it. Everybody rolls their eyes and they're like, that's just crazy to think that. They don't realize that they're all under mind control, right? So by him doing that, it brings about this, which is shows like The View, bringing attention to social engineering and then saying things like, just like with the event at the pizza parlor, right? Oh yeah, Hillary Clinton's pizza, underground, they use trigger words to make people dismiss actual truth. So here they are dismissing the government's involvement in using all of these operatives and agents. They want you to believe, remember, they created this in your mind from a young age, that these people have organically become famous because they're talented. And you can do it too, right? So they get everybody out there, like I always say, it's a mouse in a wheel. They want you to thrive to be, you ask 10 people, how many of the 10 people are going to say they wanted to be a famous actor or a famous musician? This is all ingrained in all of us. It's never achieving something that you want to achieve. It beats you down, it wears you down, it breaks you down. They want you to think that all these people are there because they're talented. That's not true. They're not there because they're talented. They're not there because they worked harder than you. They're there because they're operatives, okay? This whole thing is literally a simulated reality that we're living in. They're dictating your mind and telling you in your mind that this stuff is truth when it's really fictitious. So you're living in a simulated reality because of it. So Taylor Swift and all of them are only famous for that reason. But they created in your mind that, oh, they're famous because they're talented. And listen to these crazy notions of the Pentagon just using Taylor Swift to combat disinformation, and she's a government asset, and oh, she's influencing people. Exactly. This is a government operation. And including The View, including Whoopi Goldberg, including Fox News, all of them are in on it. They're all keeping you in a hive mind. Listen to this propaganda from The View.
You know, there are real issues impacting millions of Americans: reproductive rights, racism, healthcare costs, income disparity, and gun violence, just to name a few. But this is what the Fox News folks wanted viewers to be worried about during their primetime broadcast on Tuesday. Take a look.
Have you ever wondered why or how she blew up like this? Well, around 4 years ago, the Pentagon's Psychological Operations Unit floated turning Taylor Swift into an asset during a NATO meeting. What kind of asset? A PSYOP for combating online misinformation. She posted the link to the vote.org. It's like hundreds of thousands of young Taylor Swift fans all of a sudden registered to vote. I wonder who got to her, from the White House or from wherever.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, when we talk about snowflakes, they always talk about, you people worry about the weirdest stuff. She got people to go out and vote, including probably all kinds of people that you'd rather not have voted. But you know what? We're going to continue to suggest that folks who have the wherewithal to say, hey, if you want to make a change in the world, go ahead and go out and vote. That's our biggest thing. If she can get people to do that, why would you say that was a bad thing or talk about it like you're disparaging it? What kind of
What kind of,
baloney?
Good.
What kind of baloney is that? Is that good?
I have a baloney theory.
Okay.
I have a baloney theory.
Speak up.
My theory is that Taylor Swift was born in Tennessee. She kind of started out as a country music pop princess, and I think that the Jessie Waters of the world thought that she was their princess. And then all of a sudden, she decides to endorse a Democrat in Tennessee.
Yeah.
She was in support of March for Our Lives Against Gun Violence. She supported the LGBTQ in her community in her music videos, and she said, I'm pro-choice. And then she said, and vote. They picked the wrong princess.
You know who their princess is? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
That's their princess.
Why is it that Republicans
typically want small government because they don't think it does a good job getting in your business until it gets to a conspiracy theory. And then they believe Taylor Swift can brainwash the entire nation. The execution and cooperation on that is next level.
I'm tired of dumb people. I'm tired of it. I can't handle it.
But by the way, this news broadcast happened, well, to be more serious, there's hostages abroad, there's a looming government shutdown.
Yeah.
Chris Christie, there's so much stuff happening, and this is the critical hard news that dear Jessie Waters is bringing us. But I just want to know, a very senior Trump advisor, who I will not repeat his name, also tweeted, what's happening with Taylor Swift is not organic. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. No, her music is great, they're bops, we love it.
It's because it was country, Tennessee, and now it's not.
And a woman is kicking butt.
Now they have Lauren Boebert. Good for them.
Oh, I have a legal note. A Pentagon spokesperson pushed back against Jessie Waters' claim, saying in a statement, quote, as for this conspiracy theory, we are going to shake it off.
Oh, okay.
So that's a problem. That's exactly how they want to do this. They want to present to you the actual truth. Fox News will tell you some of the truths. This is how they also keep a lot of the conservatives in the hive mind. Because you'll hear now, like I mentioned, a lot of people are like, they're like, oh, call me a conspiracy theorist. Oh, it's actual truth. Like everybody thinks they're on board. Everybody thinks they're awake now because the conservative alt-right media has given little truths. But these people don't realize Trump and all this stuff keeps them in the exact vacuum they want to keep them inside of. Right? So you have Fox News bring attention to that. Then you have the perfect answer to it, which is liberal media coming out and debunking, which isn't really debunking. It's mocking and ridiculing actual truth and then planting these seeds in everybody's minds is why they should dismiss any notion of mind control, any notion of the government being involved with Hollywood. But the reality is it's all true. It's all true. And if you just step back and you peel the onion a little bit and you start thinking to yourself, hey, how did Elvis and the Beatles and all these people become really, really famous? Oh, because they were so great. They pushed them down your throat beyond comprehension. Why all of a sudden is Taylor Swift like this? Nobody before 5-10 years ago cared about Taylor Swift that much. Taylor Swift's just another one of these celebrities, right? Taylor Swift was going on those shows. Kanye West was like embarrassing her on stage about Beyonce, et cetera, et cetera. Taylor Swift now goes to the football game. They got to show every color. This is all done by design. They got to tell you that it's bigger than life that Taylor Swift is dating a football player at the football game. And people out there don't even seem suspicious about it. They're just like, oh, well, it's Taylor Swift. They didn't realize they've been mind controlled. They're thinking Taylor Swift's crap don't stink. That Taylor Swift's the greatest thing on earth. Whatever Taylor Swift says, we should all do. And they don't even ask any questions about it, right? And of course, there's so many things I covered which are now removed from here, but are on the website about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Right? Travis Kelce at the same time is being propped up, and Travis Kelce is endorsing the magic potion. This is a fixed relationship. That's what all these things are. They're not really together. These people are related to each other anyway. For anyone out there that doesn't know, but Travis Kelce, magic potion, they had to prop Travis Kelce up so they could subconsciously continue to program people out there to get the magic potion, and then they use the influence of Taylor Swift as well. So all of these things are done by design. We're in a giant mind control operation. That's what this is. And they want you to think that the notion of that is crazy. Then when Larry Fink and these people come on TV and they talk about behavioral control, nobody thinks twice because they don't even know what it means. They're like, behavioral, I don't know. Who's this guy, right? Who's Larry Fink? We never hear about him on TV. We only hear about Taylor Swift, so we don't know who Larry Fink is. Larry Fink controls and runs everything. Everything, right? There's a handful of